As anyone with a Transformers collection will know, even a small one takes up a remarkable amount of shelf space, so it's nice when you're able to fill the gap left by a particular character with one that doesn't take up much room. Today we're looking at Core Class Studio Series Bumblebee Shockwave. That was just a bunch of words, wasn't it? But yes, as you might be able to tell by how I referred to him, this is using the design of Shockwave from the Bumblebee movie, so is heavily based on his G1 incarnation, just with a lot more greebly bits. And the level of detail on those bits are quite lovely, especially at this scale. His darker purple makes him closer in coloration to the original Shockwave toy than his more pastel cartoon version, which I think suits the figure quite well. There is some hollowness in the legs, which is less than ideal, but at least the darker colours there keep it less obvious than it could have been. I also quite like how the head sculpt looks slightly annoyed despite, fundamentally, just being a light bulb in a box. He's really quite poseable, staying stable with those big feet of his. I was thinking it would have been nice if some of his joints had a little more play in them in some directions, but then I remember on some of the old toys of about this size you'd be lucky if you got more than 2 points of articulation. So I'm not sure what I'm complaining about, really. Plus, he can get into a convincing on point, which not every Transformer can. His gun is a separate piece, so you can have him with or without it for a rare two-handed Shockwave look. Technically, given that in the movie it looks like it's fused to his arm, there is a canonical hand he should be holding it in, but you can put it in the other one if you like. Hasbro did. Plus, who cares? I do a little bit. Now, given that Shockwave has a history of turning into things that can charitably be described as some objects, and that the larger Bumblebee Soundwave has a particularly bad case of that, I am happy to report that this one actually turns into something. So here's his Cybertronian tank mode that's very evocative of his alt mode from Transformers Prime, which, since I've never really been a fan of his space laser gun mode, is probably my favourite alt mode of his, so, you know, I'm okay with it. For some reason, I just buy this as being an alien tank more so than I buy a lot of Cybertronian modes, which can often be a little unconvincing. Probably helps that he looks like every vehicle from Halo combined into one thing. Since his gun is plugged into the back of his head, the turret gets a full 360-degree spin and can even go up and down a little bit, although the hole was a bit tight to begin with. Behave. So I have filed the inside of the hole a little bit, just to open it up a smidge because I could see me breaking the toy with the amount of force that was required to pull the gun's peg out. Although its placement does mean that you can leave the gun plugged into the head when you transform him for a goofy fan mode, which could keep you entertained for literally minutes. Probably due to his small size and, I don't know, parts count or something. Unlike most Transformers tanks, he doesn't have any of those small wheels on the bottom of his treads, so he can't actually roll, but I never liked those anyway, so personally I consider that a plus rather than a missing feature. All told, I really like this little guy. It's kinda weird that this tiny core class figure is the first official transforming version of this design, but that means he only costs a little over a tenner, so yeah. Bonus. So he's small, he's cheap, he has design elements from G1, the movies, and Transformers Prime. If you're only going to have one Shockwave, then this is a pretty efficient pick. A level of efficiency I'm sure Shockwave would appreciate.